Welcome to Discourse Politics, everybody. Today we are going to go over the 6 swing states, how's early voting going, and the fact that if I were in the Joe Biden campaign, I would be panicking right about now. We're going to go over these numbers, look at why it's bad for Joe Biden, and see if we can figure this out. So let's just start with Arizona. In the state of Arizona, Joe Biden is ahead by 65,563 votes. He was ahead by almost 80,000 votes. He lost 14,137 votes over the last 3 days. So what we're looking at is a comparison of the last 3 days, because 3 days ago I did a video on this as well. So in 3 days, Donald Trump has cut the lead from 80,000 votes down to 65,000 votes. So all of this data is off of Target Early and Target Smart. They're the ones who are putting out these estimations. And what these estimations put forward is that in the state of Arizona, Joe Biden is currently ahead by 4.4%, which seems like a good deal. Outstanding votes are estimated to be around 1.3 million, give or take. The model that I created, which you can get in the link in the description below, is just a Google Drive doc that anyone can access. This particular spreadsheet that I'm looking at is called Early Voting and Election Day Turnout, to be October 25th, but back to Arizona. Which means of those 1.3 million votes outstanding, Donald Trump needs about 682,000 to overcome Joe Biden's lead at this moment. So he needs about 52.5% on election day in order to overcome. If the election were held tomorrow, there's still going to be some coming in. I'm sure Donald Trump, the way it's looking, he's going to actually close the lead in Arizona as we get closer to election, but we'll see. And now on to Florida. When we last talked about Florida, Joe Biden had a 329,883 vote lead in Florida in 3 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In 3 days, he lost 126. Joe Biden lost 126,000 of those votes. And now he's only ahead. So Biden is only ahead by 203,835 votes. So that was in 3 days. In 3 days, somewhere between a third and a half of his lead was just cut out. He's currently ahead 3.9%. In the state of Florida. He's ahead by 3.9%. The projected votes are a little over 10 million total, so there's still about 5 million votes outstanding, which means that if no more early voting and no more mail-in ballots happened, then Donald Trump would need 52.1% on election turnout day. The next state on the list is Michigan. So this is actually an okay state for Joe Biden. He was ahead by 94,978 votes on October 22nd. And as of the night of October 25th, he is ahead by 96,833. So he actually picked up 1,800 votes. His current vote percent, he's ahead by 4.8%. There's projected to be a little over 5.1 million votes in the state of Michigan that are going to be cast this year. So there's still 3.1 million votes outstanding. So in order to win, Donald Trump is going to need to pick up about 1.6 million votes, 1.632 million votes, which means that between now and Election Day, he has to get 51.5% to Joe Biden's 48.5% on average. Next on the list is North Carolina. So North Carolina, 3 days ago, Joe Biden had a lead of 230,000 votes. He has since lost about 56,000 votes, and Biden is ahead only 174,000 votes. So in 3 days, Trump cut almost a quarter of Biden's lead. About 20% of Biden's lead disappeared in 3 days. Currently, Joe Biden is 5.7% ahead. So far, Joe Biden has been ahead in every state, and they're projecting that this is about 60% of the vote that's going to be cast in North Carolina is already in. So that means there's about 2 million votes outstanding, and Donald Trump, in order to overcome the lead, is going to need about 1.1 million of those votes that are going to be cast between now and the day of election or on election day, which means he needs to get about 54% to 45%, almost 46%. The fifth state is Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania looks good on paper for Joe Biden. Joe Biden had a lead of 464,626 votes projected in the state of Pennsylvania based on voter turnout so far. He has gained almost 70,000 votes in 3 days. So now Joe Biden is ahead 533,916 votes, which means that he's currently ahead by 37.6% in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, there's a projected 6.6 million votes that are going to be cast, so there's still about 5.2 million votes outstanding. Now, the thing about Pennsylvania is there is a very low percent of turnout in Pennsylvania. And my personal belief is the reason that is one, Pennsylvania never votes early by and large, but it also means that the people of Pennsylvania are still trying to figure out whether or not they really want to vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. But the truth of it is everybody knows how they feel about Donald Trump. You kind of, most people either love the man or don't like the man. And if you don't like the man, you've already figured out whether or not you can stand him for the next 4 years. So if people are withholding their vote, it's probably because they're unsure of Joe Biden more so than unsure of Donald Trump, because they know Donald Trump. He's a known quantity. And really it comes down to, are they willing to put up with Biden for 4 years over Trump? So as it sits right now, Donald Trump's going to need about 55% to 44% to make up this gap on election day. So he needs to win about 10% more of the vote on election day, or the votes that are cast between now and election day. He's got to win about 55% to close that gap. And finally, the state of Wisconsin. In order for Donald Trump to win the state of Wisconsin, I think he needs to continue the track that he's on, because in 3 days, Joe Biden's lead went from 82,520 votes down to 40,268. So in 3 days, cut Joe Biden's lead more than in half. Now, there's a projected 3.2 million votes that are going to be cast. So there's about 1.9 million votes that are still outstanding. So in order for Donald Trump to win, he's got to win only 51% out of 49% between now and election day. Now, why is this troubling for Joe Biden? He's ahead, 3%. He's ahead by 3% in Wisconsin. He's ahead by 5.7% in North Carolina. He's ahead by 4.8% in Michigan. He's ahead by 3.9% in Florida. He's ahead by 4.4% in Arizona. Well, it's because, and I know I said this last video, but this is important. Vote method. In person on election day. 45% of Donald Trump support said they're going to come out and vote on election day. Only 14% of Biden support said they're going to do that. 85% of Joe Biden's support said they were going to vote for him early, either by mail or early in person. Only 55% of Trump's voters have said that they're going to vote early or early in person. Why is this significant? Because even in this poll, which I think was 51% Biden, 41% Trump, I'm going to give you an analogy here. Or if you're in a battle and you have 50 soldiers and your opponent has 40 soldiers, and that's the polling. You got 50% that say they're going to vote for Biden, 40% that say they're going to vote for Donald Trump. And you committed 85% of your forces into the battle already, then you should be winning that battle overwhelmingly. In fact, we can run the numbers right now to see if you put up 85 dudes or gals, dudes or gals against 55. So 85 plus 55 is 140. You have effectively fielded 61% of what is on the battlefield right now. So if 61% of what you have fielded is on the battlefield and you're posting numbers that's 52%, 53%, 54%, you're losing the war. I can't stress this enough, that 61% of the people that say they're going to vote early or early in person have said they're going to vote for Biden. But when I look at the actual returns and what's actually happening on the ground, Biden's not anywhere near that. Biden's not anywhere near 61% to 39%. That's where he needs to be in the lead if 85% of his support is going to show up early and if they're going to vote by mail. Now, we're not done with either of those things, but the general wisdom is that as we get closer to election day, Republicans are going to pick up more and more votes. And then on election day, they're going to storm the polls by 45% to 14%. And even if we were to extract those numbers further and say 41% of Trump support, or this poll said 41% are going to come out and vote for Trump. Okay, so 41% that responded to this poll said they're going to come out and vote for Trump, and 45% so they're going to show up on election day. We can weight that, and we can do that right now. So 41 people in this poll said they're going to follow Donald Trump into battle. Okay, but 45% are waiting in reserve until election day. So that means that 45% of this 41 number is waiting in reserve to vote on election day, which means its weight of 18.45. Biden has 14% in reserve that are waiting for election day. He's got 51 support. He's got 51% support. So we can weight that as well. So that would be 51%. And of that 51%, 14% are going to show up on election day. So times 14%, which is 7.14. Okay. Which means if you divide 7.14 divided by 18.45, that means that on election day, Joe Biden is going to show up and only be 39% of the vote, which then means that Donald Trump is going to be the inverse of that. So Donald Trump's going to be 61% of that. So 61% on election day is what is projected to happen if 45% of Donald Trump's group is going to come out on election day. So keep in mind, we have been using the numbers that Donald Trump is behind 41% to 51%. We have used those numbers and we have reflected what should be happening right now. So let's go to my nifty spreadsheet here and look at these numbers again. Joe Biden's ahead by 4.4%, not 61%. Donald Trump on election day only needs, if the election were tomorrow, he only needs 52% support to win. He's supposed to get 61%. Last time I said 75%, I didn't weight them correctly. I didn't weight them at all. I just said 3-1. But if we weight them for the poll, only 41% was supporting Donald Trump. So if 41% supporting Donald Trump, then he's still going to have 61% of the vote on election day. So he only needs 52% to win Arizona. He needs 52.1% to win Florida. He needs 51.5% to win Michigan. He needs 54% to win North Carolina. He needs 55% to win Pennsylvania. Are any of these numbers anywhere near 61%, which is what he's projected to get on election day? Joe Biden's own campaign put out they need to be 6% ahead. They've only met that in Pennsylvania. And the only reason that's not that good is because only 20% of the vote is in. So if only 20% of the vote is in, then that means that Donald Trump only needs to carry 55% between now and election day to swamp those numbers. So where are Joe Biden's voters coming from? And what is the explanation for this? Well, oddly enough, my video on voter enthusiasm, is that how Donald Trump wins? Let's go take a look at that spreadsheet and see what we can see. Let's see how we can change this real quick. Oh, I know. Okay. So here's how we do it. Okay, this is useful. Here we go. Here's how we do it. There's 54,311 people that have cast a ballot so far. Let's change the spreadsheet real quick and see what we see. I pulled everything from registered voters. Okay. So far, 49.5% have been Democrat. So you got 49.5%. 49.5% is Democrat. 40.6% is Republican. So that would make independents equals 1 minus so that's unaffiliated. Oh, that's actually kind of perfect. This is awesome. There you go. So this was the model that I had left over from the video of Is Enthusiasm How Donald Trump Wins, how his base support was much more enthusiastic than Joe Biden's support. This shows, based upon how it's set up and what we put in with Target Smart. Oh, actually, I forgot. Polling indicates that actually the unaffiliated voters are breaking about 50-50. Some polls say it's 45-55 one way, and some polls say it's 45-55 the other way. And actually, it depends on the state. I'm not going to get that far into the weeds, but let's just even them out at 50%. So this is almost beautiful. This is perfect. So in the poll, he was about 10%. Biden was leading in the polls. Okay, but because of voter enthusiasm, right? Once you run this through voter enthusiasm, Joe Biden's only leading by 4.3% with voter enthusiasm. So let's say 60 million was actually so this is almost perfect. So let's say there's 60 million. And, let's... So the reason I'm changing this to 62 million is because I'm trying to output something that's really close to really close to what we're looking at here. So all of this is pretty much lining up almost perfectly. So what's happening is Joe Biden in the polls, people are answering honestly. Okay. There's about 62,000 people or 62 million people out there that are like, oh yeah, I'd totally vote Joe Biden. Right. But they're not enthusiastic about him. And when you filter it down, just like in the video where I was talking about voter enthusiasm, whereas in the 2016 election, the working class was the surprise vote. I said in 2020, if Donald Trump wins, they're undervaluing voter enthusiasm. And when I ran this spreadsheet in that video, I'll put it in the link at the end of this video where you can watch it. I said then that if Donald Trump wins, it's because of enthusiasm. And this is almost washing out perfectly. I think they came from an Emerson poll, but there's other polls that indicate numbers very similar to this. So 36% for Trump are extremely enthusiastic. 22% are extremely enthusiastic for Joe Biden. 28% are very enthusiastic, whereas 23% are very enthusiastic about Joe Biden. For Trump, 22% are mildly enthusiastic, whereas 29% are mildly enthusiastic for Joe Biden. And not that enthusiastic, 15% for Donald Trump and 26% for Joe Biden. Now, the reason that's important is because those groups are going to vote in different numbers. You can assume that 100% of your extremely enthusiastic and very enthusiastic are going to come out and vote. You can assume that 80% of your mildly enthusiastic are coming out to vote, and only half of the people that are not that enthusiastic are going to come out and vote for you. So what that means is once you filter out the enthusiasm between the groups, even though Joe Biden can be polling at like 9% ahead, which is what this would indicate, he's polling 9% ahead or 10% ahead. When it's all said and done, the actual turnout may be 25 million to 27 million. And the actual percent that Biden is leading is 4.3. So let's go back to the other spreadsheet. What is he leading by? 4.4, 3.9, 4.8, 5.7. That's Pennsylvania. 3.2. So do you see how I think what we're watching here in real time is a slow speed train wreck in which Joe Biden is the projected winner by 9 or 10 points. But enthusiasm alone is making it to where Donald Trump supporters, that 55% that said they're going to come out and vote early or early in person, either by mail or in person, is keeping up with Joe Biden's 85% that said they're going to vote early or vote in person because they're not that enthusiastic about Joe Biden. And we're seeing it reflected in the polls. His own campaign said they wanted to be 6% ahead at least on election day. They're not anywhere near that target, except in Pennsylvania, where, as I've shown, Donald Trump only needs 55% because there's still so many votes outstanding. He only needs 55%, but he's supposed to get 61% on election day. So tell me this isn't beautiful in some way. I had no idea how perfect this was going to be. Biden has a 9-point lead, give or take. But when you wash it through enthusiasm, he ends up with about 4.3%, which is about what we're seeing in real time. So the question remains is you should always think about flaws in your logic, flaws in your argument. So let's start with, there might be still a huge contingent of mail-in ballots that are out there somewhere. They could be on their way. I believe 67% have already been returned, which is historically high, which is why we see these large numbers. But that implies that there's like 33%. Joe Biden was getting in the neighborhood of 70% of those, 60 to 70%, because Donald Trump really talked down mail-in voting. So they're possibly, if those 30% are still in the mail, that's one possibility. The other one is people are not being honest in that YouGov poll. And what I mean by that is there's two ways that could happen. Biden voters are not being honest and Trump voters are not being honest, and they're being dishonest in non-nefarious ways. And what I mean by that is Biden supporters could really be serious and say, yeah, I'm going to vote for the guy early. I've made up my mind. I don't like Donald Trump. Not many people like Joe Biden. So it's really, I don't like Donald Trump. So I'll definitely vote for Joe Biden. I'm going to vote early. I'm going to mail my ballot in. And then it's election day and they go, oh, I forgot to mail my ballot in. And they show up not that they're enthusiastic. They just literally forgot to send their ballot in because it's Joe Biden they're voting for, and they don't really vote for Joe Biden. And that could be one way. So instead of 14% of Biden's base showing up on election day, 30% shows up. Double that, because literally people just forgot to vote for Joe Biden because it's an easy thing to do. He's forgettable. That could happen. It's a non-nefarious accidental polling error. It's not nefarious on the pollster's part. It's not accidental on the pollster's part. It's not tampering. It's not bias. It is simply just a group of voters literally forgot to vote because their candidate is non-inspiring, but they know they're not voting for, they know they can't let Trump win, right? That's one possibility. The other one, people who said they were going to vote for Donald Trump on election day, maybe they've already jumped the gun and they've already started voting early in person. And maybe what they meant by, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump on election day, maybe they thought that meant they're not going to do mail-in ballots. That's a possibility too. That's a very strong possibility that there's a bunch of people out there who, when they heard early vote, they said, I'm not early voting because my president told me not to mail in my ballot. Well, there's early voting still counts as early voting. Early voting still counts as early voting if you're voting in person early. So that could have been a mistake in people answering the question. They just didn't think about what it meant. They heard early voting and they thought mail-in, and they said, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go vote in person. And so it's possible that 45% number that Donald Trump is supposed to get on election day, that a bunch of those are already showing up and voting in person early. So it's not that it's just because they kind of mistook the question. The question came as, are you going to vote early by mail? And they probably thought, yeah, I'm not going to vote early by mail. So I'm not voting early. I'm going to show up and vote for the president in person. So that could be just another misunderstanding. The final thing is, it's wholly and totally possible that the Democrats just rigged this election. Just kidding. I mean, what evidence do we really have that Democrats would rig an election?
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
And there you have it, folks. That's how the Democrats plan to win. Like and subscribe for more. Make sure you share this with your friends. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. I'm behind on comments right now because my computer was just terrible this weekend and I had to make some fixes to it. So I'll get caught up on comments and I will see you next video. Thank you.